More charges against the former mayor of Gettysburg, Chad Allen Carr, after 3 accusers just came forward. The new charges he faces.
I think God had a reason why she was sent to this earth.
A family remembering Amanda McCord, a 24-year-old recently killed in a Susquehanna Township apartment. Her family says she was a loving person. The legacy they'll carry on.
An Adams County elementary school is facing a civil lawsuit after a former art therapist was sentenced for having sexual contact with a student. I'm breaking down all of the details.
Growers turning to unique means to try to keep their crops from being harmed by the frost. How drones are being used to make sure that fruit stays viable.
Scammers are skipping over your email and going straight to your online calendar to get your money. I'm on your side with how this works.
WGAL News 8 at 6 starts now.
And we're following several developing stories only on News 8. The family of a woman killed in Dauphin County sharing their story of how they want her to be remembered. But we start with breaking news. New charges filed against the former mayor of Gettysburg. Good evening. I'm Jerry Gish.
And I'm Lori Burkholder. Those charges were filed after 3 accusers came forward following Chad Allen Carr's charges last month. Bailey Martin joins us now with that new information. Bailey?
Chad Allen Carr is now facing more charges after 3 more accusers have come forward who received new court documents released today detailing those new allegations against the former mayor just days after the announcement of the initial charges against Carr back in March. A mother came forward telling state police that Chad Allen Carr had sexually assaulted her son 10 years ago. That accuser, who was a teen at the time of the assault, told police that in October of 2015, he had met Carr on the dating app Grindr and then met twice at Carr's residence. The first time, the victim says nothing happened, but the second, they say Carr offered them alcohol and later sexually assaulted him, despite the boy telling Carr no multiple times. Also, in the days following Carr's initial arrest, a second person came to police to tell them he was also allegedly assaulted by Carr when he was 18 after seeing a play that his cousin was in. The documents say he and Carr attended a chorus concert together, and eventually he joined the Gettysburg Community Theater, where Carr was the director of several plays he was in. The accuser says from December of 2014 to October 2015, he lived with Carr, but the relationship was not sexual. However, in the summer of 2015, when the victim was around 23 years old, he told police that he was awoken as he was being assaulted by Carr while sleeping in his room. A third accuser came forward to state police in February of this year. He told police that when he was 15 years old, he was in contact with Carr while attending summer camps at Eichelberger Performing Arts Center. The accuser said he was also in a relationship with another adult at the theater and said he was groomed by Carr. The victim told police he had also shared explicit photos with the man that he was with, and when Carr learned about the relationship and those photos, the accuser said that Carr requested he also send photos to him. We've reached out to the Eichelberger Performing Arts Center for comment about this, but we have not heard back yet. Chad Allen Carr is now facing new charges, including sexual assault and corruption of minors. A preliminary hearing date has not been set in this case. Lori?
Bailey, thank you. A 4-year-old boy found dead and his Franklin County mother now charged with child endangerment. Court documents show 40-year-old Amy Ruhlman called for help yesterday afternoon around 1 because the 4-year-old boy was unconscious and not breathing in her home on Pratt Court in Waynesboro. During a police interview, Ruhlman says that her son was sick this past weekend, but she did not take him to the doctor, and she also missed 5 to 6 doctor's appointments in the past 2 years. Reasons for the charges: the coroner said the child was malnourished, weighing about 25 pounds when he should be between 33 and 37 pounds. The coroner also says that the boy had likely been dead for more than 24 hours. Waynesboro police also found drug paraphernalia in her home. The Waynesboro police chief tells us an autopsy is scheduled to determine the child's cause and also manner of death.
She was very bright. She filled the room with laughter.
Only on News 8, the family of a Dauphin County woman who was killed is remembering her as a daughter, sister, cousin, and someone who always had a smile on her face. News 8's AJ Sisson spoke with the family of Amanda McCord, sharing her story, and he joins us now live. AJ.
Jerry, it was heartbreaking speaking with Amanda McCord's family today. I met several of her family members, including her mother, but her uncle and her cousin joined us on camera to share loving stories of Amanda McCord and the legacy they'll continue on.
The world is going to miss Amanda.
She was on her way up, and this person stole her away from us.
Amanda McCord's family grieving the sudden loss of the 24-year-old who they called Tusi.
I remember when she was 2 years old, they would come, "Who is this little girl?" And she'll be like, "My name is Amanda and I'm 2. My name is Amanda and I'm 2. Like, she never stopped smiling.
A smile that never faded, even in the tough times.
Even if she was going through something, she never showed it for us to see. She always felt that it was her duty to make us feel better.
A singer, a friend, a volunteer at her church, a recent graduate at Penn State Harrisburg. Her graduation photos shared with us.
We're going to focus on the beautiful thing that she had left us with, and not focus on what happened to her or what justice is going to do.
As Justice to the McCord family is carrying the legacy she left. To learn more every day.
Her life is always going to be a good example to every young people out there.
Her family tells us that they have a service scheduled for 10 a.m. tomorrow at the Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church, which is right across the street from where she used to live in Susquehanna Township. The family says that it is open for all of those who would like to pay respects, reminding people no cameras are allowed inside, but they welcome everyone who would like to share her memory. In Susquehanna Township, AJ Sisson, WGAL News 8.
AJ, thank you. And 32-year-old Rafael Duran Malave is charged with McCord's death in their Susquehanna Township apartment. Police say he took off to Puerto Rico after killing her. An autopsy revealed McCord died by asphyxiation, with injuries showing she was also sexually assaulted. Susquehanna Township police tell us they are not sharing any additional information right now.
A 17-year-old is charged with stabbing her boyfriend to death in Harrisburg. Police say Delasia Terrell Brown of Harrisburg killed Tamar Shaw in an apartment on Market Street Monday night. Documents show Terrell Brown told officers that while they were in bed, he asked her for a small kitchen knife to cut rolling papers for marijuana. She said the knife may have become wrapped up in blankets, and when she went to move them, she heard Shaw yell in pain. Well, that's when she saw the blood coming out of his chest. Shaw later died at the hospital. Police said that they found social media videos of Terrell Brown threatening Shaw and attempting to stab him with a knife. Police also found multiple knives and marijuana at the apartment. And state police are investigating a break-in at a Franklin County bowling alley. Nellie Fox Bowl and Sports Shop, which is on Molly Pritchard Highway in Guilford Township, posted this video you're seeing here on Facebook showing a person breaking the glass door. This happened Monday night around 11:30. The store tells us that the person did not take anything.
2 victims filed a civil lawsuit against the Gettysburg Montessori Charter School, claiming the school failed to protect minors after they were sexually assaulted by a school therapist. News's Sarah Metz spoke to the attorney who is representing the victims.
The civil lawsuit alleges David Mitchell, the Gettysburg Montessori Charter School's former art therapist, used his role at the school to sexually abuse children.
Like any survivor of sexual abuse, this is something that they're going to deal with and have to work through their whole lives. So it, of course, affects them and their families every single day.
According to the complaint filed earlier this month, 56-year-old David Mitchell was hired by the school in 2021 as an art therapist.
The abuse only occurred in those individual sessions.
Attorney Haley Colonin says the victims in this civil lawsuit were just 6 years old at the time of Mitchell's alleged abuse. In 2024, the complaint says Mitchell was accused of sexually assaulting 3 different girls who were not listed in this suit while they received at-home therapy sessions with him. According to the lawsuit, after these allegations, instead of removing him from his role, the school notified parents that his art therapy sessions with students would now be recorded.
Through that, the parents became aware that there were prior allegations, and that's how they were able to then speak with their children.
Colonin says Mitchell pled guilty to indecent assault of a juvenile and 1 count of institutional sexual contact in March. He was then sentenced to 22 to 56 months in prison and 9 years of parole. It's not clear when Mitchell stopped working for the school or if he was fired.
The biggest thing is to hold them accountable for there to be policy change, for these outside contractors to have more supervision, and for the school to have more oversight over them.
I reached out to Gettysburg Montessori Charter School leaders for comment and have not heard back. In Adams County, Sarah Metz, WGAL News 8.